Hi, my name is Manny Peng. In this video, I will show you how to deploy a Trellix sliding server for a site with both WaveLinx Wireless and WaveLinx Wired installed. Now, moving forward, the next step here, the next scenario is that what happens if Trellix core server has an older firmware version that is not compatible with the WAG itself? Okay. Um, Usually it has software version 6.3 or earlier version. What can we do in order to make it compatible with the web? Okay, so step number 1A is that we have to bypass the wizard in order to upgrade the Trellix software to the compatible version. Okay. So when do we need to use Postman and bypass the Trellix core server? That's when the firmware version of Trellix is 6.3 or earlier. If you have Trellix version 7.1 or later, you don't need to use Postman. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, we can just click on existing system and we can bypass the wizard completely. Okay, so in order to use Postman, we need to open it up. Now, I just want to mention that Postman is a software that you can download and install on your computer in order to make the API call. Okay, so once you have it downloaded, you can just open it up. Step number 1. Step number 2, you have to click on the file. Okay, as you can see here, click on File and select Settings. Okay, once you have the setting open up, you have to make sure that SSL certificate verification is turned off in order for API 2 to work. Okay, so turn it off. After that, you can close the setting. The next step is to import a JSON collection file called wizard bypass into Postman. So how do we do that? We click on the import button here, and we just need to drag and drop the file, the wizard bypass.json file into this box. Okay, just drag it over, and after that is done, just click on the import button. Next is to set up the environment. Okay, now before I move on, I just want to mention that the wizard bypass.json file is available, and if you need that file, just reach out to the technical support team, and they should be able to provide you with that file. Okay. Now, how do we set up an environment on Postman in order to run the API call? To do that, we have to click on this little icon here, and then you will see the environment showing up. Okay, just click on the add button here, and you can just name it. You can name the environment. We can give it the name as wizard bypass, and then we can enter the IP address as one of the variable in the environment. Okay. Why do we need to do this? Is that when you have the environment set up, right, you can use the same wizard bypass from site to site after you set this environment up correctly. All you need to do, just change the IP address on the next job site that you go to if you need to bypass the wizard. Okay, so if for this site, the server has IP address 192.168.9.34, then you just need to enter that here. Now, if you go to a different job site and it has a different IP address, all you need to do is just enter this, just change the IP address into this environment. Then you should be able to use the same wizard bypass file to run on a different job site. Okay. So after that, the public token, make sure you type it down, enter it as a variable, but you don't need to enter anything here. Just leave it blank. because this visit bypass file will take care of the rest, everything for you. You don't need to enter anything here. Okay. Now we are done with creating the environment. We just need to click on the save button here for the environment. Then we have to make sure we have to select the new environment, because as you can see by default on Postman, it's going to show you that no environment have been selected. So in order to select this visit bypass environment, you have to click on this little drop down menu to select the visit bypass environment that you just set up. So select that. Okay. After that, we can expand the visit bypass collection, the one that you have imported into Postman earlier. We have to click on this little arrow here to expand so that you can see all the API calls. Okay, so click on that. You're going to see all the API calls getting populated. So the first step is to log into Trellix. Okay, so you have to click the first API call. Once you do that, you can see that it's being loaded on the right hand side here. Now, if the IP address is set up correctly on your Trellix core, then it's going to show as an orange color. Okay. Otherwise, if the IP address is not correct, it's going to show red. The IP.address variable here is going to show up as red. Okay. If it's not, that means that if it is red, it means that it's not compatible with the environment that we have set it up here. So you have to make sure you go to edit the visit bypass environment and enter the correct IP address of the Trellix server in order for this to be working. Okay. Now the next step is to make sure that the username and the password is the default admin user and username and password. Okay. After you check this step, then you can click on the send button here in order to log into Trellix. Click on the send button, and if everything works correctly with the correct IP address, then you will see the body with the access token, refresh token, and everything else showing up down here. And you will see the response showing as 200 OK. Okay. If something is wrong with the call, with the API call, instead of saying 200 OK, you're going to see 400 bad response. So as you can see here, yeah, 200 OK mean good response. 400 bad, I mean that is a bad response. Next is to go down to the next API call. It is visit dashboard reroute. Okay, click on that, and it's going to take you to the next API call. And make sure before you do click on the send button here, make sure the text at the end of this visit dashboard reroute is showing as true. Okay, in order to bypass the visit. If it's still showing as false, then it's not going to bypass the visit. So this is very important. If you see it's false, make sure you change it and type it as true. Then click on the send button. Once you click on the send button, you're going to see just a response showing 1 and it's 200 OK, which is a good response. I mean that the command went through. Okay. After that, we have to move on to the next API call. Let's say create default client. And from this point forward, you just need to click on the send button. And it's going to create a default client for you by sending this API call. And you can see, as you can see here, the default client name is default client. Okay, and it shows a good response here. And the next step is to create a default building. Okay, so select this next call for create default building, and then click on the send button. And you can see the name is default building getting created after the default client was created up here. Okay, and again, it is 200 OK, mean that is a good response. And select the last part here. It's called create default floor. And then select that. Just click on the send button again. And you're going to see the good response, and it show you default floor. Okay. So as you can see, in order to bypass the wizard, you have to create a default client, create default billing, and create default floor successfully in order to bypass the wizard. At this point, we can just log into Trellix via the web browser to confirm that the setup wizard has been bypassed with these default information. Okay, so we just need to log in, and you just need to go to the billing tab here, and you should now see billing client, default client, default billing, and default floor under the billing tab. Okay. All right. So now that we have bypassed the wizard, we should be ready to move on with upgrading Trellix to the software's version